Welcome to Crafty Chemist Designs. Today I am going to show you how to create these cute Halloween one-sheet wonder cards featuring Close to My Heart's new rotating stencils that I inked up in Halloween colors. You can make 8 cards all at once with one sheet of the decorated cardstock. This is what the stencil creates. That's in a different color scheme. I just wanted you to see what it looks like. This is one of the rotating stencils, and you can see that in each of the 4 quadrants there is a different design. And then you rotate it around 4 times and you get your full sheet of cardstock. I'm using Royal, Black, Pumpkin, and Jade. I thought those were Halloween colors. Let's start with a brand new color, Royal. And I'm making these big kind of firecracker bursts looking designs out of the Royal. And I'm using the mini blender because that's what I had available with purple. I already inked up on it. Okay, now I'm going to do the black, and I'm just doing the smallest designs in black because I didn't want it to be too black. Now you could tape these stencils down so that it doesn't move, but I'm just kind of holding it in place. You can also see that I have labeled it top in the upper right corner in a Sharpie so that I know which direction it should always go in, because if you flip it over, it's not going to be correct. The designs, won't fall into place. Although, truthfully, it probably wouldn't look that bad, but if you want them to be as directed, you want to keep it all going in the same direction. I'm using the brand new Jade color here. I really like this green. It's a nice green, kind of a grass green. Okay, so I'm done with the first layer. So now you can see, you're like, what is this going on? And so you can rotate the paper like I did there. And I am rotating the ink colors around clockwise 1 time. Okay, so you can see here, I'm glad that I had that top written in the top so that now I know. So I'm keeping the paper. That might have been confusing because I was confusing myself there. The paper is in the same orientation. I did not rotate the paper. What I did is I rotated the inks and the stencils. Okay, so you keep the paper in the same direction, and then I'm rotating the stencils. And one way that you know that you're doing it correctly is you always should be doing the same color that's already on the stencil. So you can see that I'm doing purple on the purple areas on the stencil. Okay, so once you do the first one, it will make more sense. Okay, and I do realize that I did not do the bottom 2 squares. I do go back and do those later, so I don't know if that makes it even more confusing for you. I mean, it seems confusing the first time you do it, but after the first time, it's really simple. So again, I rotated the stencil 90 degrees. I rotated my inks clockwise, and now I'm just going in where I have the green. I did not wipe off the ink off of the stencils because I felt that it helped me locate where the stencil openings were. Okay, because once you get a lot of the colors on there, like starting now, it can get a little confusing, like, okay, where's the opening? Where do I put this color? So I just left the ink on there so that I always knew where to put it. I really like that little piece in the middle that doesn't become a complete starburst until you do all 4 turns. That's also something else that can help you make sure you're, doing this correctly, that you're rotating it correctly. Oh, so I'll see, I didn't hold that down there, and I did kind of have the stencil move a little bit. I just found that taping it down was kind of too much trouble since we're rotating it, through 4 turns. So, okay, so now we only have one more. Okay, and I rotated it the last time. And now you can see that purple in the bottom left quadrant there is going to complete that starburst. So I know I'm on the right track. I rotated my inks again. And I'm going to finish up with the last round. And again, I'm using the colored areas on my stencil to help me make sure I get all of the openings. But since we are going to be cutting this up into some pieces for our cards, if you miss one or two, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, now I'm doing the orange. I love this color combination because I do think it looks very Halloween-like. Okay, then I realized, I didn't do the purple. I tried to make sure that I always started from the top left and worked my way around. But, as you can see, I forgot the 2 on the bottom on that second turnaround, so. Okay, there we go. So I'm looking at this and I realized something's wrong. So, okay, here I went back and I redid those 2 on the bottom that I missed. So here is the finished product. Now, if you want to do this one sheet wonder, you can start with a piece of pattern paper. You don't have to do this card design with the stencils. You can use a piece of pattern paper. I did this as an alternative because, truthfully, I wasn't sure that we were going to be having a Halloween collection this year because it kind of came out late. And so I was doing this just so that I had something Halloween. And I think it is a good reminder that these stencils and things can work to your advantage if there is a paper collection that doesn't have the colors that you need, or a design, a theme that you need, you can make whatever you need using these stencils. This would be great for a birthday design, right? I'm thinking like primary colors would be really cute with these, with this particular pattern, or 4th of July. It would be good for fireworks. So I'm cutting these into 3-inch pieces by 5.5. So you will get 8 pieces out of one 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. I'm taking my time and kind of turning it so that I get a piece that's 5.5, but has the least amount of white. See how there's like white in that top right? And I wanted to kind of not have all of that. So, okay, I'm on my last piece. That's 3 inches. Cutting the edge off of there. Do 5.5. Okay, now again, this one I'm going to cut the edge off. And then 5.5. Okay. So now I have my 8 pieces. Aren't those fun? So fun. Now I'm going to cut some strips to fill in the rest of the card. So the pattern paper was 3 inches wide, and we know our cards are 4 1/4. So I'm making these 1 1/4. 1 1/4 by 5.5. And we're going to need 8 of these because we're making 8 cards. So I think that's pretty good that we're getting 8 cards out of 1 sheet of pattern paper with a little bit of cardstock thrown in. Okay, so I've got my 8 pieces of the pumpkin. Now I'm using our card bases. You can get a pack of bulk card bases from Close to My Heart, and that's what I'm using here. It's an A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And now I'm going to put the orange pieces. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the adhesive there. I'm going to put these orange pieces right up against the folded edge. Okay, so there's one, and I'm going to do all 8 of these. So you need 8 card bases. I'm using the dark side of the pumpkin paper. Okay, I'm trying to line it up. We've got 6 more to go. Okay, I think this is what, number 4? And you can see the 5 1/2 takes that pumpkin piece all the way from top to bottom. Okay, I know this is getting tedious, but what's great about this One Sheet Wonder design is that you can make a lot of cards very quickly. This would be great for Christmas cards because you can do 8 with 1 sheet. Do those colors in Christmas colors, reds and greens or pinks and that sort of thing, and red, and you've got really quick design. Or I think this would be great. I know a lot of people make cards and give as gifts, like in a box. This would be great, to make 8 or 16 happy birthday cards, or even a variety of cards. You can make sort of a generic color scheme and then do some that are happy birthday, some that are get well, that sort of thing, and then give them out as a gift, as a collection. Okay, so this piece, remember, was 3 by 5 1/2, and I am putting the part of the card that has that, you see that white edge? I'm putting it towards the orange because I am going to be putting a piece of shimmer trim there. So you'll notice that in all of these, if there's a white edge, I try to put it towards the middle, so that will be covered up with the shimmer trim. Okay, got number 2. And I love how these are all a little bit different because of the paper design. Okay, and I find it easier to line it up on the edge and then make it fit towards the inside, towards the neck, the pumpkin piece, because again, I'm going to be covering that piece up, that seam up with some shimmer trim. So I feel like it's more important to have the edge be perfectly straight, and then if that doesn't meet exactly, with the pumpkin piece, it's okay because I am going to be covering that up. I really like where the placement of those starbursts are on that card. Okay, I think we've only got a couple more. I love that purple and orange together with the little pops of green and black. Do you guys turn your cards around like that to line up the edges? I don't know, that's easiest for me. So if that's not what you do, that's why I'm doing that. It's just to line up the edge. Okay, this is the last one. So we've got the bases, you know, pretty much done. You could leave it like this, but like I said, I am going to cover up the seam with some shimmer trim. Okay, so there's my 8 cards. And I am using black shimmer trim. Remember, I had a little bit of black, and you can kind of see just the really little starbursts are black. So I wanted to add a little bit more. I thought it gave it a little more traditional Halloween look with the orange strip and then the black. You know, there's no question that this is going to be a Halloween themed card now with the black shimmer. You could put another strip of cardstock, like a zip strip, just a plain piece of black shimmer trim, plain piece of black cardstock if you don't have the shimmer trim. Or, you know, you could have used green or purple. I like to put the shimmer trim on and cut it, you know, have a little bit overhang so that I can cut it right up against the edges. If you feel really confident that you can put the edge of the shimmer trim right up against the edge of your card at the top and the bottom, go ahead and do that. But to make it even, I like to have it overhang a little bit and then cut it. I think the black kind of finishes it off a little bit. And I'm just covering up the seams. Okay, I think there's 4 more. And a tip when you're using shimmer trim is always leave that little bit of plastic edge on the shimmer trim, because if you cut through both layers, if you cut through the shimmer trim and the plastic backing, it's really difficult to start it up again when you go back to it. So I always leave a little extra piece, and you can see when I bring the shimmer trim up, I'm leaving that plastic on there because it makes it easier to remove. I love shimmer trim, and I don't use it enough, I don't think. So I'm glad I pulled it out for this project. And I'm trying to line it up, but I basically am just eyeballing it. Okay, 2 more. I try to keep the card level so that I don't angle the shimmer trim, but again, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and now the last card, I believe. Doesn't that look pretty? I love that the little shimmer that it adds. Okay, and you can see here, see how I'm leaving that little edge? It will make it so much easier when I go to start the next roll. Okay, here are the card bases. Now really, you can do anything you want to this. I'm just going to add a little bit of a rectangle with a stamped image on it. So here I'm cutting this at 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. So small, but again, make this whatever size you need to fit your image. It shouldn't be too big because you want that pattern paper to, shine. So make sure that you're still able to see that. So I'm making these 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. And I'm cutting 8 of these. One for each of the cards. So these are going to be the base, the mat for my stamped images. Okay, and so the white daisy piece I'm cutting 2 by 3. And again, you can cut it whatever size that you need for your stamped image. And you just want the mat to be like a 1/4 inch wider and taller than the white daisy piece. Okay, a couple more. And truthfully, I probably should have stamped the images on the white daisy before I matted it. I realized that this after I recorded the video and I had to stamp the image, but it actually didn't cause too much of a problem, but just FYI, best practice, I would stamp your image at this point before matting it. And you can see you've got the nice little edge around it. Okay, I think this is number 5. And just imagine if you had done this in, birthday colors, Even like graduation colors, you could do the stenciling in school colors, Christmas colors. You can put, anything on it. You could put a birthday cake. You could just put a sentiment. You could put, the graduation cap stamp. Okay, and now you can put them vertical like this or horizontal. You can put it in the center or you could put it going into the pumpkin. I'm going to stamp something that is a landscape stamp, so I'm putting mine landscape. But again, depending on what stamp you're using, you might want to put it portrait, you might want to put it landscape. Okay, and I'm just kind of centering that a little bit towards the top. I really like this jade pumpkin combination. So I tried to use the colors of the inks that I made in the papers. So the green, the orange, and the black, I think are great. Just two more. And again, I should have stamped the images before I adhere these to the cards, especially with that shimmer trim, because that does add a little bit of a ridge, right, in that one spot, but it didn't end up affecting my stamped image. Okay, here's the 8 cards, and now I'm using this bat from the Got Candy stamp set that's from a couple years ago because I thought it was a nice size for the card. I think it's also a nice simple image since there is a lot going on in that pattern paper. I wanted something simple. I could have just stamped Happy Halloween or something on the front, but I really think this bat is cute. Okay. You can see it's stamping fairly well, even though I had already adhered the mat and everything to the card. Let's see, I lost count. I don't know if this is the last one, maybe. No. There might be a couple more. think I'm using regular black ink. Okay. Now, I'm using the months of the year stamp. Again, this is an older stamp set. I felt that there was a little bit too much blank space there. And so I found a little sentiment that says eek to fill in the space. I just thought that was a little bit too plain. I think it adds a little bit. And since it's a bat, it wasn't something I really could color in to add color. I probably could have added a few gems or something, but I already had the sparkle with the shimmer trim, so I thought this was a good option. And I don't get to use this stamp very much, so I'm happy to use it. But isn't that bat cute? I like his little face and his little ears. It stamps so nicely too. And it fits perfectly in that space. Okay, also from the months of the year, October set. Again, this is a little bit, I think it's from a couple years ago. I'm using the Happy Halloween sentiment. I felt this was a little bit too big for the outside. I noticed that I've got a smudge of the ink on there, so let's wipe that off with our stamp chamois. And this is a really cute saying because it's got like a spider web and a spider on there. So that's going to be my inside sentiment. Okay, I got a smudge again. I'm using kind of a big block. That's why. Because it's somewhat of a big sentiment. Only a couple more and then we will be done. But you can see how fast I've created 8 cards from, start to finish, including the inside sentiments. That little spider's cute. Okay. I don't have very many stamps that actually say Happy Halloween. So I use this one a lot. I've actually really used those months of the year stamps a lot. I'm so glad that I committed to buying each month. They've got just some nice universal icons and sentiments, for each month. So I go back to those time and time again. There's nice ones for Christmas. There's nice ones for Halloween. There's a nice for 4th of July. Those seem to be the ones I use a lot. But I don't think they're available anymore. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think this might be the last one. Okay, there you have it. There are my 8 cards that I created with this One Sheet Wonder design. Very simple design. There is the stenciled paper that I made. It's from Stencil Pack number 1, Z7040. If you like any of these products, you can go to thecraftychemist.closetomyheart.com. I have a Facebook business page, Crafty Chemist Designs, where I go live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Time to do a demo. I have a Facebook group that I invite you to join, The Crafty Chemist Presents CTMH. If you make anything from this One Sheet Wonder, please post it on the group so we can see what you did. And I do have an Instagram and TikTok, Crafty Chemist Designs. Thank you for watching.